My name's Oronde Wright. I'm with Wright Solar and the Wright team of Pure Solar Systems. We are an African-American owned solar company based out of Largo, Maryland. Our principal, Greg Floyd, has actually been in the solar business over 20 years. He actually helped to open the solar market in Prince George's County, Maryland, which for those of you that are not familiar, is actually one of the, I think it's like the top 3 wealthiest counties for African Americans in the country. So there's more Black millionaires here, more Black, six-figure mayors, if you will, than most other places in the country.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I have Oronde Wright, and he is going to give us the right game on his company, Black-owned solar company. Yes, I said it, you guys, solar. It is 2021, 2022, 2023, and beyond, whenever you're listening. And I want to really give this game because solar is where we all should be heading. You guys have heard me talk about in Africa, you can get rid of a lot of the water problems and solar problems if you collect your own that God has given us. So, brother, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, sir. Just out here, trying to save the planet, save the people, and save the pockets.
And save the pockets. Well, I mean, tell us about it. I mean, give that spill on why we all should at least consider solar for our homes.
All right. I appreciate that introduction, and thank you to you with that beautiful background. So you put another photo on my vision board. So I appreciate your invitation. Yeah, so actually solar is actually something that should not be considered. It should actually be implemented into your daily life. I mean, where else, what other investment are you going to make into your home, which for 8 out of 10 people is their largest investment? That's actually going to put money back into your home. Most people think when they make improvements, when they want to sell their home, they, spruce up, they remodel the bathroom, they remodel the kitchen, they, finish the basement, to try and, increase the value, 5, 10,000, or 5 or 6,000. But when you install solar, the majority of the pushback for solar is the aesthetics. But the thing about it is, if I told you that I'm going to put a gas pump in the front of your yard and you can have it for $1.58 a gallon, would you care what it looks like in your front of your yard?
No.
Right. So it's basically the same thing. Your house is now becoming your own power plant. And what it does is it actually adds a force appreciation of 15%. So it's increasing the value. You can actually, when you own the system, which is mostly what I push ownership big time. When you own the system, it transfers with the house. So there's no complicated, when you're selling your home, there's nothing complicated about, you have to wait for this person to qualify and see if they can take it over. No, as long as you own the system, it's yours. There's federal, state, and local tax incentives. So I would encourage people to, investigate that for their particular states. Right now, the best states for it are Washington, D.C. proper, which is, D.C. the city. And by expansion, some parts in Maryland, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. They are the highest. They have the highest state and local tax incentives, which are called SREC. SREC. It stands for Solar Renewable Energy Credit. So, in essence, between the federal tax credit, which is 26% off of the entire cost of the system, and the local incentives. Excuse me one.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.
Yeah, so with those local tax incentives, it can actually be a cash positive to where it would actually put money into your pocket, as well as, having the entire system paid for. So for instance, I have one client in DC. His actual, he has a 12 kilowatt system. His monthly payment is $242 because he's owning the system. But once he completes with the tax incentives and everything, he's actually going to be making an additional $10,000 on top of having the entire system paid off. Now,
Wow.
what other investment are you going to get that type of return? And then that's just the tax incentives. That's not including production credits. So say, for instance, his solar system produces more electricity than he uses. Now he's getting a yearly check from in DC it's Pepco, but the local utility, if you have an overproduction, you can actually end up having them pay you as opposed to you paying them.
Now let's break this down, because some folks, when you get into the returns and the math and the credit, they get intimidated. And if you have a video on how this works, please let me know, because we can, throw it in there. And
Right.
If not, we're going to make a visual. So that when you say they get to make more energy, is that based on the panels they have, or just where they're at and the sun has been more, giving to them? And is that in perpetuity? Can you make that like for a whole lifetime or 2 lifetimes, or does it stop in, you hit the ceiling at some point?
Right. Well, no, I mean, it is, it's actually a combination. So, like for instance, in New York, where I am right now, there's an abundance of trees, an abundance of tree cover. So if you have a home that, has a lot of tree cover, you might not be able to get as much sunlight, in which case your production would be minimized. But in most places, like in DC and Maryland, the tree cover is not as dense. So, the sunlight is prevalent, and as much energy as your panels will produce is, what you can generate. So, and then on top of that too, it creates an air of independence, because now you're not depending on the local utility, the public utility, whose sole purpose in all actuality, and not to be crass or hyperbolic, or to use too much hyperbole, but their incentive is actually to keep you as an energy slave. They want that bill, no matter if you're up year, down year, your children eat, you eat, your rent, your mortgage is paid. The utility company wants their money. Otherwise, they're going to what?
Cut you off.
There you go.
And so I'm from Oakland, so you have to forgive and understand these next questions.
Right,
If I think that I can make more energy based on where I'm at,
right.
is it kind of on some type of like blockchain or something where my neighbor can then benefit if they have too many trees and they can benefit because I got energy and we're somehow connected? Like I'm all sci-fi with it, but maybe we're there yet.
Right, right. Well, that's it. It kind of works that way, but not exactly. Because what happens is when a person who has solar, not only are they generating their own energy for their independent. So let me take you through uh, um, the the um, uh, the list, if you will, the chain of ownership, if you will. So when you install a solar panel system on your home is the first um, beneficiary of that energy production. So most people they will have the panels that will produce the energy for their home. Then many people get backup battery systems. So when the system is either offline, like you said in California, I know there's a lot of brownouts, rolling brownouts, times where energy is cut off to certain places. So the backup battery system will help, mitigate that. But any production over that gets sent back to the power grid. So what the utility has actually done is they, in the legislation with solar, they've incentivized the politicians to have solar companies. I mean, houses, even if they have their own independent solar power system, to maintain the connection to the power grid. So you still need quote unquote, their permission to connect. But
Hmm.
because of federal legislation, federal mandates of benchmarks that they must meet, otherwise they get fined. They approve the vast majority of systems. So how that happens is it's sent back to the excess power is sent back to the grid for the public utility to decide what they want to do. So it's not like if you have, your your cousin who lives down the road, you can't say, okay, well, the excess power that I produce at my house, I want to go to my cousin. No, it doesn't work like that. It gets sent back to the grid, added to their power supply, and then they, you know, disperse it as they see fit. Which, in all actuality, the people who don't have solar are being penalized for the people who do. So if you have solar, that's a bill or a customer off of the public utilities roll. And let's just to be clear, the public utility is actually the last known monopoly in the system in this country. I mean, quiet is kept. Most people don't look at it like that, but there's really, if you don't have connection from your public utility, what other option are you going to use? So with that being said, so now that the person who is employing solar for their energy needs, they are that's one less customer for the public utility. So what are they going to do? They're not in the habit in the business of losing money. So they are going to take what that person who employed the solar system was paying and disperse it to the other people who don't have solar. So when they come around with that 5% annual increase, and then they'll talk 1 year and then they'll say, okay, well, we need a 6.5% increase mandated, legislated, so that we don't lose money. That's what's happening.
I'm glad you're saying all this about legislation because things can change. They can get for the better, depending on what side of the aisle you are. But a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get solar. I'm going to be off the grid, and I never have to, worry about what the laws are. Can
Right.
can you talk about the lobbying for solar, how that is, and is there any situation where you can go into like Timbuktu in America, not the real
Right.
Timbuktu,
Right. Right. Right.
and sit back and say, I don't have to worry about them. I got my solar panels. I bought them off eBay. They cost me $2.99 straight from China, and I don't have to, deal with anything. Is that even possible or recommended? And I hear the laughter, so I have a feeling I know where you're gonna go with this.
Right. Right. Well, it is possible. They do have off-grid systems, but I mean, you're gonna actually have to find a Timbuktu in America to have a system like that, like out in Vermont or Maine or out in the Wahhabi Desert or something. So they do have off-grid systems to where the entire property is powered by solar, and they don't have they don't have a connection to the grid. But in most cases with that, those places either don't have power lines that have reached to that area, or they have a special circumstance. And the lobbying for solar is actually in its infancy. So there are a couple of associations and organizations that have started the lobbying process, but is nowhere near what, for instance, the oil industry is, which is one of the biggest opponents of solar, because if you're off of fossil fuels, then you're not using their products, and in which case we'll have that. So and then aside, the recent energy spike that we had, energy gasoline spike that we had. Hold on.
Hi guys, I'm Kai Gabiam from the Diaspora channel, a lover of Africa. If you love Africa as well and you would love to visit one day or to relocate to Africa, there is a course out there for you. And this course is My First Trip to Africa, a course well put together by a seasoned traveler, Kellen Cash Coleman. This course is designed to prepare you to travel better, which will save you both time and money. And the great news is this course costs only $20, guys. It can't get any better. Go right now and enroll to this course at www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.
Even though when that day will come, so that's why even people I talk to, I say the urgency is now, even beyond forgetting about business, just your loved ones, even loved ones that you don't get along with, or you only come around on holidays and can only stand for a few hours. Because trust me, when they're laying in that vulnerable state or they're laying in that casket, it's not going to be, oh, I was mad because he did such and such to me 25 years ago, and I never. It's, oh, if I only had 5 more minutes, if I only had 2 more minutes, I would say this, I would have done this. So as a people, we as humans, we have a tendency to come together in funerals, weddings, and baby showers. And so I would just implore everybody on this podcast, go beyond that. Just even if it's that relative you don't get along with, just call and say, hey, I was thinking about you. Is everything okay? Even if they lie to you, at least they, you call them. Then the next time you call, the next time you call, they might get, be a little more open to having, a deeper conversation. But, just contact your loved ones and let them know that you're here and you care. Because tomorrow is not promised.
Amen to that. And that's why, you know, what you're talking about with solar, to me, as somebody who, you know, I might be a conspiracy theorist, but wherever I live, whether it's this country or another, in my older age, I don't want to have to worry about bills. And we can all say we're going to make more money, so we don't have to worry about that. But we don't know what the future holds. But what we can control is if we don't need to pay a bill and can collect our own water, our own, you know, electricity at 80 or 90, we won't be getting kicked out of our house like they're trying to kick a lady out of her HOA for not paying the HOA fee. You mean her house is paid, but not the HOA fee? Get out of here. That should be, you know, waived for all seniors. Are we not like human?
Yep.
So educate us even more on, you know, what we can make. Because I was saying the Oakland in me is thinking like, if I can make more energy, can I then decide where I want to sell it, or can I maybe pay a bill off that energy? Like, are we there yet with solar where you're able to actually, you know, make that money and spend it how you want?
Well, yes. Well, the money that you make for the overproduction, and the check that the public utility company cuts you, whatever public utility that is, wherever you are in the country, that's yours to do with what you will. You know, if it's $100, if it's $500, that's your money in your pocket, and you can do whatever you want with it. Now, in terms of being able to direct, you know, the energy that your specific home produces to another person, we're not there yet. I believe they have something in the works to where it's almost like those like the mortgage-backed derivatives. If for, you know, those financial people that remember that with the housing crisis of 07, 08, you know, how they packaged a bunch of mortgages and sold them off. They're contemplating or working out a system to where they can do that with energy. But it's not like you as the individual can say, okay, I want it to go to, you know, my neighbor across the street and then they get the benefit. No. But whatever, like I said, whatever overproduction that your particular home makes, you know, and whatever monies that you earn from that, from the public utility, that's yours to do with what you will.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on, you know, Tesla now has their panels and people are like, oh, so I can, you know, in theory, power my Tesla off the house energy. Do you think that, or is it even possible, let's say you have a Chevy Volt, can you use your house energy on your car? Are we there yet?
Yes, that we are. I mean, I actually know of a person in Maryland. They have an all electric vehicle and they have solar as well. And that's how they power their vehicle. And there's now, I'm actually glad you brought this up, because now with, and kind of to tie it back into, you know, the legislative part of it, many people have heard about, you know, Joe Biden with his new, you know, infrastructure program, you know, the $6 billion. A lot of that is going to be geared toward renewable energy, with solar leading the way. You know, there's going to be a big push to make all vehicles, you know, electric vehicles. Mercedes-Benz has actually stated that they will have, you know, they're retooling their factories to produce renewable electric vehicles by 2022. GM, Ford, Volvo. I mean, you do your own research. You know, I mean, I'm a good guy. I value myself on, you know, staying abreast on, you know, the trends and, you know, where the market is going. But do your own research. A lot of these new car companies, they're actually going to be phasing out combustible engine vehicles. So there's that, and then kind of tying it back into the home. If you're getting a solar powered with your electric vehicle and you're able to charge it with your solar power, there's actually some batteries now in electric vehicles that can actually go the opposite way. So in the case of an extended power outage, you can use the vehicle battery to power your home.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, with all this good talk about solar, let's get into it because, you know, folks will say it's just too expensive. Like rent is too damn high. Solar is too damn high to install. Should I go to back to school so I can learn how to install it myself? Like, why is certain solar? Is it the panels or is it the laws and just how, you know, it works here? Because solar panels here aren't what they cost, let's say, in an African country or in China. They're not all equal. So what's your advice when people are buying? Because they're like, if I think I can do it myself, why, you know, spend the $40,000, depending on the size of your house, what it may cost?
Right. Well, let me ask you this. How steady are your hands?
Well,
Would you say
I'm
you
not
have?
talk. Oh no, you can't talk about me because I'm like Dr. Cosby. I put that tool belt on, and my wife started giving me that look, like, really? You might be talented and gifted in certain things, and I'm gonna let you try, but on standby, I'm gonna have pros. So yeah, not me. For the
Right,
folks
not
who
you.
really
Okay.
maybe
All right.
handy.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll take you out of the equation. But the average person, how steady would they say their hands are if you ask the average person?
Man, you know, we get kind of we see a task and we get happy thinking we can do it and can't even change a tire, some folks. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So my point for that is you think you got steady hands, but would you trust yourself to do surgery on your mother or your brother or your child?
Yeah, for those of you who said yes, I want to look at your MD on the wall. I need to see where your residency was.
Right.
So, so you're
Yeah.
saying
So
yeah.
I'm just saying it's always, you know, many people always think they can do it themselves. And some people can. Some people are that talented that they can. But it's always best to hire a professional because they know the little nuances. They keep up with the regulations, um, the um, uh, the specifications that would ensure that your house will be there and won't burn down. B, will be installed properly on your roof so that you don't have penetration, so that your roof is not falling in under the weight of the panels. And C, that they're meeting all, state and local um, requirements and regulation. Because trust me, if it's not installed properly, if it's not connected properly, I mean, there's engineering part of it, there's an electrical component to it, there's a design component to it. I mean, there's a lot of nuances that need professional grade or professional expertise to make sure that it's installed properly so that you can gain the maximum benefit from the system, and B, that the asset, like I said, eight out of 10 people, their biggest investment and asset is their home, and to make sure that it's installed properly and protected. And the number one, or I guess number 1A point is, if it's not installed properly, you have somebody to hold accountable. If you install it yourself, then your homeowner's insurance will be, well, that's not in your contract. So, now you're paying 80,000, or double what you would thought that you would pay to install it.
Well, I tell people like this: you can do your own PR, you can be your own consultant. The difference between hiring a firm, when they ask me, why should I hire you? I say, you call me. But the difference is between hiring a firm is you have one project, we've seen more than 100. And we know exactly what you're saying. We can see, oh, wait, you can't do that on this because, on the roof, because this is going to fall off in a tornado or in a storm or whatever, right? So
Exactly.
with that though, if people say, okay, I want to hire and get it done, but if I can get a better deal possibly, or if I can find, some, what are they, like the monocrystalline panels, and they're cheaper than yours, are people paying more for the panels or for the panels to be installed?
Well, they're paying more for the panels, and because the panels are actually the production generator. So the panels are really, the main, was actually the main component. So there's a monocrystalline, which I'm impressed. You got some education there, bro. So kudos to you. There's a monocrystalline, which is the best material because it's based off of one crystal. And then there's the polycrystalline, which is basically like the leftover shards, and they are basically gelled together and cut into wafers. And so, they do that. And then they have what they call the flat panels, which, are they don't have the, for those of you that know what a panel looks like, it's like basically a big square. So the flat panels are more like a sheet. They look like a sheet. And those are the least efficient, but the most flexible. Now they do have some very innovative panels that are coming down the pike that will not only increase the production, but the flexibility of the panels. Trying to combine the best of both worlds, if you will. But and those might be but I think they're like 2 to 5 years off. So for those that say, oh, well, I'll just wait 2 to 5 years and, wait for those better panels, and the thing you have to ask yourself is, in that 2 to 5 years, how much would you have lost? How much, what type of increase? Because like I said before, the utility is going to increase their rates every year. So if they're increasing it, 5 to 6% every year, in 3 years, that's what, about 12%, 18%. Now that's a higher energy cost. So what you would get from installing the panels now, and having that money put back into your pocket, and then once the newer technologies come over, and if it's cost effective to upgrade, then you can do that. But yeah, the best time, like I say, the best time is now. And they say, you can have it, what's the saying? Fast and cheap, slow and quality, or quick and something or other. I don't remember the exact quote, but it's
but
basically
people get it.
Yeah,
you get what you pay for.
Says,
you get what you pay for.
Exactly, in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I don't want to give folks, human mind their battery and overcharge. Maybe that's a solar panel joke, because your batteries can't overcharge people with these things. That's why you have a controller, from my limited understanding. But I want to know, and the best is yet to come, with all the success that you're having and gonna have, what is a community give back that you are doing right now, or that you plan on doing in the future?
Well, right now, like I said, in DC, like I said, certain parts of Maryland, New Jersey, and Massachusetts are the three, like I said, best areas for a solar. So I actually have a Your House is Your Credit program. So if you live in any of those three jurisdictions, assuming your production level is right, your house can accommodate the solar, is a zero cost installation process. You may pay $5,000 or 5 or 6 cents. So whatever you're paying now, I could probably cut, your rate per watt in half, if not more. And that's basically a program that I'm running. And more, and then if you have, as long as the person has and that's whether you're credit challenged or not. More so for credit challenged people that want to gain the benefit of solar, but are, like I said, credit challenged and don't have that ability. As long as you have a 650 credit score or higher, we can do zero cost installation for you. We do complimentary design, free designs and consultations. It's a low, I don't want to say low pressure, but approach, but I only say low pressure because people want what they want when they want it. Like if you were in the market for if you think about it, if you're in the market for a new car and you look and you say, okay, well, I want to get a Chevy Impala, and you start doing research and this and that, the 3 weeks prior, you didn't see anything. Now, everywhere you go, you're going to see a Chevy Impala.
Every time.
You're gonna turn the corner, there it goes. You're gonna go in the Chick-fil-A line, there it goes. You're gonna go to the grocery store, there's 3 or 4. So people move when they're ready, but a lot of times, especially in this space, in the solar space, they think it's a high pressure sales pitch, but in all actuality, it's an urgency that we like to share with our clients and potential clients, because again, tying it back to the legislation, the public utilities, they're not in the business of losing money. So once this oil turnip is squeezed dry, and then they're going to squeeze it till they can't squeeze it no anymore, and then they'll squeeze it some more, and then once the federal and federal legislation catches up with some of the state and local legislation and state and local mandates, and then then the public utilities themselves will start to move into the space. It's the same thing that happened with the phones. There was the big with the cell phone. I don't date myself, but for those of you that were back in the day that remember when cell phones first came out, you had the independent dealers, and they were able to make $500, $600, $700 per sale. And they had lines down the street. So you can make $3,000 to $4,000 in a day, selling cell phones. But when it turned that corner and it became mainstream, that $3,000 to $5,000 a week job or business turned into a $15 an hour job, and the local and small businesses were basically eliminated. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen with our company, but because our goal is actually to grow large enough to become a utility, to have solar farms. So if you have land that you want to make money off of, family land, 100 to 200 acres, 10, 20 acres, and then the blue state, 40 to 60 acres, and then the red state that you're not really, your family's not doing anything with, and you want to make some money off of a lease, we have that option. If you have your own house, if you have rental properties, even if the tenant is paying, if you're a market tenant, like a regular market rate tenant, you can actually incorporate the payment of the system into your rent, and do utilities included. But if you're doing subsidized housing, if you're serving subsidized clients, that's not the case. And again, that's limited. Again, check with your lawyer and tax professional and see exactly how that works. But yeah, there's multiple incentives that you can add to your tenants to where they will be more apt to take even better care of your property, because if you can eliminate or at least severely reduce their electric bill, then they'll be grateful to you, assuming you have a great housing client, and B, you're able to take advantage of all of the tax incentives that are on that rental property. So it becomes more of a cash positive system. And then on top of that, like I said before, the increased value of your home. So if by chance there's you're in a position where you need to sell that asset, you can actually command a higher price for it because it has solar on it.
No, definitely, definitely. And he said he didn't want to date himself, but I let everybody know I'm that generation Y, because I remember before the cell phone and when you could still make a lick off pagers. And I was like, whoa, and so I'm a date myself, because we popped this off for those who are in Gen Z, so it's all good. Again, I don't want to give you guys the game overload. You have been blessed by the game. We're going to take this offline, but I want you to go look in the description box. Check it out. See if you can work with the bruh. See if you can get into solar, but also, tap in and contact him for more information. So if it's not in your city or state, let him, recommend somebody, because there's some partnerships and there's also some power when we keep that money inside the community. You guys have been blessed by the game. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you. And kind of to piggyback off of that, thank you for reminding me. I actually do have a referral program as well, to where a person can make $500 to $1,000 per referral, depending on the production of the system of the home that they recommend. So I just need minimal information. I can I'll take care of all the follow up, all the follow all the minutia that many people don't like to do. And once it goes through to installation, get that check or that cash app and say thanks for closed business.
You guys, that's game tight.